Hi everyone, to the students and families of Year 10. Thanks for watching, which is essentially my second parent assembly. It's part of the question and answer session that we set up. So last week when I introduced this, I asked for a load of questions, and hopefully this video is going to give you the answers that we've had from families. I'm thrilled that the response was great for two reasons. I got over 30 questions or 30 families in touch with us as a result of the video last week. I had over 300 people watch it, which sort of makes it worthwhile doing. And then we're now able to answer some questions and concerns that families have whilst working remotely in these unprecedented times. What's really good about the questions that made me even happier was the fact that they were sort of whittled down, once categorised into just 7 different areas that we needed to address. And the first 4 I'm going to do through just some video tutorials that are about to play. These tutorials will just show you where the information can be gained that we've already put out there to families and children, that will actually answer 4 out of the 7 main points that came through this exercise. So I'm pleased that information is all out there, but I also understand that this is potentially the first time that some of you might have been in touch with us, which is absolutely fine. Lots of you, or lots of families got in touch last week because the emails that they've been receiving from school have actually been going in fact into sort of spam boxes and downers in that area. So if you've not been receiving emails from school, definitely get in touch, but before you do, just check your spam folders that it's not going in there. There's at least one being sent every week on a Sunday night or Monday morning with an update from the head teachers and the access to the families bulletins, but also teachers will be using that address to sort of chase up and get in touch with the families where we've not heard anything yet, or if there's any areas where we feel we need to support. It would be remiss of me not to do anything on Go for Schools. So there's some information there on Go for Schools, and just answering a few questions that we got about homework and maintaining that list of homework and submitting work, and that's what that hopefully will respond. So I'll leave you for a few minutes now just to watch these tutorials on the information that's already out there that will probably answer most of the questions that we've received anyway.
Just looking at the school website, it's waleshigh.com, and they need to click on, and at the top, like many of the websites, there's just the banners and the links to more information. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see our Twitter profile there. So even if you're not on Twitter, you can still see stuff that's been posted across the school, all the school news, information, students' work, and you can view it there without having to have a Twitter account. You can just see what the Wales High School Twitter feed is displaying and the information that we're putting out there, and you can click on the links and watch the videos and stuff that's there. There's the quick link section just a little bit further down, and there's the 3 areas really that are really supporting remote learning. The email one for students just to click on, and that takes them to log on to their student email account. And then there's these 2 for Go for Schools parents and Go for Schools students. If you the students one, well, they all look the same, even the staff one, so the interface is almost identical, but if you try logging in if a child tries to log in through the parent one, it simply won't work. So I've just clicked quickly on the student one there. You can see in the top it says Go for School Students, and that's where you'd put the student email address and their password. If I just take you to the parent one, which is this one, you can see the only difference to the interface is just that it says Parents and Guardians in the top right hand corner, whereas everything else looks identical, so it's an easy mistake to make. The banners at the top of the page are useful, and the parents one is where you'll find lots of information. If you just click on any of the links, it takes you to historic little stuff that we've sent out already. So there's the families bulletins that have gone out since we've been in lockdown. If you go down to letters home, it shows you on there any letters that have been published and sent out on via email, or normally letters that we'd hand out to students obviously, but we've been emailing them out at this time. If I just go back to the families bulletins, like I said, there's one for each week that we've sent out, that we've completed and sent, so you can look back at any information that you might have missed in the past. Obviously these change weekly, they'll change with news and information as we get it, different things that we're running at school, different initiatives, different ways of keeping in touch. There's obviously links to assemblies and other messages from other year groups there that heads of year have sent out. Some help with sort of wellbeing, different challenges, different tasks, and like I say, there's a variety of information that's all pertinent to that week, and we do share it. There's lots of other helpful tips on there as well. So the work experience that we had these last 2 weeks for Year 10, there's the kudos information there from Mrs Brown, information on how to access and use Teams and how we're using it at school to do some of our online lessons, and how to download the app if you need to, but it can be accessed through your email because it's all linked in that situation. And then, like I say, just lots of information, news around school, information that we're looking to share. There's always a frequently asked questions section, which is lots of them are similar to the ones that we received for this initiative, and they'll be helpful for you just to look through and go back to if people are still sort of got any questions or things that they're not sure about. There's information here on how you can manage your workload. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in the Go for Schools clips that I'm about to run, but I just want to share there's a link that takes you to staff email addresses. So every member of staff absolutely keen and ready to receive emails from families and students to help and support with their remote learning. You just need to sort by their surname and it'll give you their email address if you click on that link there. This is how Go for Schools looks for parents and students on their view. I've obviously just sort of duplicated another students and changed the information, so it's not a real account. But there's two areas that I'm after families and students looking at during this remote learning. The first one is the ongoing tasks. It'll always list the most recent 3, but there's this section there where you can click on view full list of tasks, and that'll give everything that's been set over a period of time and right back to the start of the academic year, to be fair. It tells you the title. You can click on the title, it gives you more information, and on my next slide when I show you the student view, we're going to talk about how you can tick and manage that workload, because it can't be done through the parent view. It's got to be done by the student view, and they can just check that and tick it, and it helps organise the amount of work that students have been set and the amount of student work that they've got left to do, as well as notifying teachers when your child thinks that they've completed the work and it's ready for assessment or to be looked at. The second part on the Go for Schools bit that I want you to look at is the behaviour section. So the behaviour section is looking at giving us a view of how students working at home, and staff are logging when remote learning has been completed, and that's what the green sections are all about. The green bits will be like positive points, looking for outstanding remote learning or just submitting remote learning. But we've also got the white ones. The white ones are a neutral section, so they don't carry any negative points. But it highlights things like if work's not been submitted for a teacher or if work's not coming in. And you see like this student's obviously working from home, but in this area there's no work where it's coming white, or they've missed a deadline and it's not coming. I mean, it's not particularly clear how it's transferred on this screen, but you can see the third one down was Tuesday, the 12th of May, and it was logged that a student hadn't completed any work. But the week after, on the 19th, the teachers then logged that the work's been completed. So it's just been a bit of a nudge, really, I suppose. Maybe a family member's seen that neutral log, or the student's seen the neutral log and thought, oh yeah, I need to do that work for this subject area, and then they've been able to catch up and make sure that it's complete. It also gives another view, like I say, to other teachers. They can look at your child's Go for Schools account and they're able to see if it's all just full of white logs, neutral logs where there's been a problem accessing remote learning or there's not been anything submitted. Then they'd get in touch with maybe their head of year so we can do that. This is the view from a student's side, and you can see now that there's an option to tick when work's been completed, and if a child does that in their account, like I say, they have to be logged on as the student, and that then notifies the teacher that the work's been complete and that the student thinks they've done it. It also then helps the student manage the list.
I'm going to hand over to Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor now, both unrelated other than their colleagues, just got the same surname. Mr. Taylor's head of upper school, and he's put some information together in response to a question that we had that I felt he was best placed to answer as one of the senior leadership team. And Mrs. Taylor, like me, loves Go for Schools, but she leads on it, and I support her really. So it's been useful that Mrs. Taylor's got the question and the answer to the query about Go for Schools that we received from the family. So Mr. and Mrs. Taylor.
We received a question from a Year 10 family regarding remote learning up until September. They're interested to know whether the school would still be operating remote learning platforms for that time. The answer is yes. We don't have a date yet in terms of reopening, and we don't know when students will be able to access school in the near future. So our intention is to have all resources on the remote platforms we're using, on Microsoft Teams, on Go for Schools, and on Dr. Frost as well for maths. So yeah, we would like to support students certainly up until September with remote learning, because even if we do reopen before the summer, then ultimately there may be cases, there may be students who are unable to access school during that period of time, and we need to provide them with the support remotely as we are doing at the moment. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Radford has just texted me, and the question is, my son has been submitting work, but only a couple of teachers are putting this information on Go for Schools. Okay, so staff are asked to do a variety of things. We use the Go for School system for points, Go for Schools for submitting work, and actually sometimes Go for Schools when work hasn't been submitted. We also look at and have asked staff to use the email system, so perhaps send a reply by email, perhaps give a thumbs up to say that it's been submitted, perhaps looking at giving a detailed reply on a piece of work. If a piece of work has been submitted via OneDrive, the member of staff might actually write on it or annotate on it, then the child can actually see that at home straight away. So there's loads of different ways that staff are responding, hopefully, to students.
I've asked Miss Cooper to contribute to this question and answer session as well, because we did receive a couple of questions around students' wellbeing. Now, I know that there were lots of people out there where wellbeing might affect them in different ways, in terms of it might have been right at the start of lockdown when it was a problem, it might be the anxiety of returning to school that's going to be upsetting families or students, and it might be really that you just want to read around the information so you as families are better informed for what your children might be going through, or in fact and indeed yourselves. So Miss Cooper, who again senior leadership at Wales High School, but she's also doing lots of work around mental health and wellbeing and supporting families across Rotherham. She's going to share with us, I think it's just a couple of minutes now, of where support can be accessed and some tips from Miss Cooper.
Mr Radford has just asked that I outline some of the mental health and wellbeing support that's out there at the moment. If you've typed that into Google recently, it's probably come up with pages and pages of information that you can access, and that in itself is a little bit overwhelming. My advice is to keep it simple and focus on accessing support from Young Minds, which is a fantastic website that's got lots of resources that you can use with children, but it's also got some fantastic articles that are more appropriate for families and parents. Equally, there are separate helplines, so a text helpline that children can access, but then also a phone number for parents and families should they have different questions that they want answering. The website is really easy to use, which is a great benefit as well. If you require any specific support or would like signposting to some more local help that's available, then I can help with that, as I have links with a local organisation called With Me in Mind, who's been helping some of our students at Wales during the lockdown. If you want any other support, then please just get in touch. Stay safe and hope to see you soon. Bye.
And that's it from me. I'm going to leave you now on the Friday afternoon of the last day of the penultimate term of this academic year, and who knew it'd turn out like this. There is one more question that's been asked by lots of families that I certainly can't answer, but I'm going to leave you now with Mr Diazio, who'll give some guidance around the return to school and what that may or may not look like as it unfolds. So I'm going to do everything I can over the next week to enjoy half term. I hope you do and the students do. Stay safe everybody, and here's Mr Diazio.
And thank you very much, Mr Radford, and also good evening to our parents at home on this lovely Friday evening. I have today received government advice from our leading scientists, which details the implications for the wider opening of schools and the public health implications for those particularly facing Year 10 and Year 12 students. I am yet to receive our advice from the government regarding how we will conduct face-to-face learning and face-to-face education for Year 10s and Year 12s in school. Our advice at present is to defer any planning until after the half-term break. Too much of this at the moment isn't about education, it's about public health, and we must be extremely cautious about groups of young people meeting both on the way to school and on the way back from school when they are not social distancing, and making sure that they remain safe at those times. I will talk to you again after half term to detail more evidence that we'll be able to share at that point. We have been planning, but it's been quite a difficult time over this last few weeks for everyone involved. I'm sure that, like you, we all want to be back into what was the old norm. And perhaps now to finish on a quote from Plato. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. I hope what you're getting is the kindness from people and the support from people around you, and I look forward to speaking to you all again after half term. Thank you.